We're now joined by Paul Custance, the CEO and founder of Lirica. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Thank you very much.
Apparently you used to be in a band for all of 4 months.
Yes, all of 4 months. We started the band, I think, for the wrong reasons, I would say. We just came out of university and we weren't doing so well with the ladies. And so we thought forming a band would be the way to do it. But when we realised how hard it is to actually be in a band when you can't play any instruments, it didn't really work out for us.
So creative difference it was.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe that's where you got your love of music from?
Well, exactly, yes. So I am passionate about music, I just can't play any music. So.
Are you ready to pitch?
Yes,
Great.
yes.
You've got 8 minutes.
Okay, perfect. So I am the founder of Lirica, and we're a mobile app which teaches languages through the power of music. So this journey started for me a few years ago now as a finance director at Sony Music, and I was learning Spanish because I was going on a secondment towards the end of the year to the Latin region, and I was using Duolingo and I was listening to music, and I was just distracted by the music, and I just thought, wouldn't it be better if I was learning through what I was actually engaged with? And the more I looked into it, the fact that language teachers use music in their classes, the amount of people I spoke to that learn English through the Beatles lyrics, the more I couldn't believe that no one in the music industry was monetizing this use of their content. And so I pitched to Sony Music to get some investment from them, and I started the company in May 2017 with an offer of investment from them. And since then, we won at the most prestigious music startup competition in the world called MIDEM in Cannes. We launched the Spanish learning app in July 2018 after a year of testing and working with experts. And in 2018, we were actually featured by Google in their Best of 2018 apps, which is quite amazing considering we've only been live a few months with limited content. And this month, we're being promoted by the largest Spanish learning institute in the world, Cervantes. We're seeking to raise £500,000. We have 350,000 committed, and we have SEIS available. So I want to start by saying that everyone has already used music to help them acquire language. The purpose of nursery rhymes is actually language acquisition. And if you all think about having lyrics stuck in your head for days or earworms, that's not actually accidental or anecdotal. Neuroscientists have proven that words heard to a melody are more easily remembered compared to words spoken. And so with Lirica, we're digitizing and optimizing this interaction between music and language acquisition. And so when you're in the app, you can watch the video with the lyrics and the translation. And then we have a function called Learn the Song, which is effectively a walkthrough of the song from start to finish. By the end of it, you should understand the song and acquire 20 to 30 words. And then we pull out the key grammatical themes in the song and teach you those. And finally, there's a game or a challenge to wrap up everything that you've learnt. And so we exist within the largest or the fastest growing segment of the multi-billion-dollar digital language learning industry, consumer apps. And as you can imagine, within such a growing industry, there's a lot of competition and a lot of big players making a lot of money. But actually, we position ourselves quite differently to these apps. We position ourselves as the fun, the engaging way to learn. We're not cannibalizing any other ways of learning, which means that our market is potentially a lot bigger than these apps. And we're starting to prove that we're more engaging. So as I mentioned, Google featured us in their Best of 2018. A hidden gem, a newcomer on the brink of getting big. And since we've released, we've generated over 24,000 downloads with 0 marketing spend, and our engagement metrics compare more favorably to the leading apps out there. And despite only having 21 songs, we're proving conversion to revenue already. The team includes myself. I was previously a financial director at Sony Music. Duncan, my co-founder, has spent the last 20 years as a serial entrepreneur and a VC. Marcel created a Learn Spanish Through Music YouTube channel that now has over 150,000 subscribers. Connor speaks 7 languages and spent the last 3 years in marketing for music tech. And we're working with a development team that have 9 years just solely focused on mobile and educational products. And the purpose of this raise is to move that in-house in terms of development, and Petros will stay on as CTO to help us manage that handover. Our board includes some superstar executives. So Maria is one of the top 50 women executives in the music industry. We have some incredible linguists on board working with us. And like I mentioned, the education industry sees real potential in what we're doing. So Cervantes is promoting us to their students. We're running different programs with different universities in London. In The Linguist, which is the journal for the Chartered Institute of Linguists, there was an article featuring us recently. And of course the music industry sees real potential in what we're doing. So they see this as a way for artists to reach audiences that they would never reach otherwise. And that's why we won at Medium, where previous winners have been Kickstarter and SoundCloud. We're talking to Universal and Warner about licensing and the independent labels. And in addition, we already have artists that want to post on social media for us. So this is a band called Divisio, who have already agreed to post on social media to their millions of followers for the app itself. And so our roadmap over the next year is that we're going to optimize and scale the Spanish learning app. And we're creating the content creation tools to be able to scale to other languages very quickly. As we release English, our addressable market jumps significantly. Okay.
Thank you for, of course, English. You know.
I know, it seems so obvious.
Yes,
Well, there is one Spanish singer I'd be particularly interested in seeing in the app.
Yes.
So is there one in particular of the first 21 songs?
Yeah, well, through our investment from Sony Music, we have access to superstars like Enrique, Shakira, people like that. So you can download the app now and learn through Enrique if you want
sound
to.
quite like him. 21 songs doesn't sound very many. How much effort is there in adding another song?
Yes, good question. So right now it takes us between 2 and 3 days per song in terms of the content creation process. There's a lot in a song that we work on. But over the next couple of months we're working on the tools to be able to automate a lot of that, so we can just pump loads of content into the app and scale really quickly. And that's a big part of what we need the investment for.
It's a healthy number of downloads already. I mean, do you know anything about that demographic? You know, what age people are?
Yeah, it's a mix, but we feel like our sweet spot right now is the 25 to 35-year-olds, more skewed towards women. And a big part of them are coming from the US, so obviously because it's Spanish focused, and there's a huge market there, and Latin music is so big, especially in the US. So people are actively searching out solutions to learn through music. And we want to be that brand name that does that.
I mean, as a mother of teenagers, I can see my teenage boys going for it. There's certain songs I might not want them to learn the word.
Yes.
Have you got any guidelines or rules?
yes.
Are you looking for songs with some real learning in them?
So we're avoiding swear words, although maybe that's quite cool to learn in a way.
To know what they mean anyway.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
learning them, not
yeah.
using
But right now we're avoiding that. But yeah, in terms of guidelines, I mean, songs are so rich. And typically our linguists can pull out a grammatical theme from pretty much any song, but often there's a theme, so they'll be constantly talking in the past tense, so we teach you the past tense, or they're constantly talking about what they're doing, so we teach you the gerund form of the verbs in that instance. So there's pretty much anything we can do with a song, unless it's completely basic with not much in it. So.
Okay.
And what about the artists? Do you pay them royalties?
Yes. So right now, because of the Sony Music investment, we have a nice agreement with them, let's put it that way. But we are a little bit different to Spotify. So Spotify is beholden to the labels because they need all the music in the world. Whereas we only need kind of 100 to 200 songs per language, and therefore we can be quite picky and quite selective about the music that we can put in there. So our royalty rates will be a lot better and more manageable than Spotify, for example.
Yeah, we've got Duolingo in our house and Babbel and all the rest of it. Quite a lot of failed language attempts. So is there any sign yet that people are sticking at it a bit longer?
Yeah, so we're seeing the people that get our app, and we have work to do to get people to that point where they get it, and which is our onboarding, which isn't great, but we're working on it. The people that get it are spending hours and hours and they're just desperate for more content. And so it seems like we're in a good position, and our engagement metrics from the benchmarks I see for other apps are much better already, even though we're only 6 months live. So, yeah.
I think in the US it's almost becoming in certain industries necessary to be able to speak Spanish. I think is it 25% Hispanic speaking now?
Something like that. Yeah.
I lived in the US for many years, and often if you let's say called up the bank, you know, often they would speak to you, or certain companies would often speak to you first in Spanish, because they knew that if a Spanish person that couldn't speak English heard English, they would hang up. As a sort of English-speaking person in America, you would hang on because you know eventually they're going to start speaking English.
Okay, interesting.
Muy bien.
Very good.
That's another story. We'll do that one off air. And English next.
And English next. That's in the pipeline. So we wanted to start with Spanish because our investors are actually the Latin region, Sony Music, but also the licensing is a lot easier. So the Ed Sheerans or the Beyoncés of the world won't license you their content whilst you're a small startup, whereas Spanish artists are really desperately seeking to reach an English-speaking audience. So that's why we started there. Prove the business model with that, and then scale to other languages, which is our plan.
And I guess in terms of exit strategy, there's potential then with some of the big publishers.
Yeah, exactly. So the Pearsons, the learning institutions, music tech is extremely buoyant at the moment. The company, what's the company that just become TikTok? Musical.ly, I think. Musical.ly sold for 800 million. Smul's about to go public, and they're karaoke apps basically. So there's a lot in the space at the moment.
And the Sony relationship, I mean, is that something you think you can maintain, or is it going to be an advantage, or could it be holding you back in due course?
This is a good point. That Sony want to see this succeed. So they're open to other labels coming in, licensing other content, because they recognise that if this is seen as a Sony thing, then we will struggle because someone else will come in and license all the other content. So they're on board, they want to see it succeed, and they're continuing their investment as part of this round as well.
Great.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, thank you very much.
If you'd like to find out more about Lirica, you can do so on the Angel Investment Network.